Today we're going to take a look at rounding time to the nearest 15 minutes. This is going to become important when you're trying to figure out how much time you've worked for your paychecks. So you'll learn the basics of time and how to convert to decimals. So we have a big hand and we have a little hand. The big hand indicates the minutes and the little hand indicates the hour. And then we also have markers. The mark off time on the clock. The small markers designate the minute spaces and the big markers indicate 5-minute spaces as well. Not all clocks have numbers on them, but the big lines will still indicate the hour in 5 minutes. 12 o'clock is always at the top of the clock with 1 o'clock to its right and counting forward as you continue around. What hour is shown in the circle? 9 o'clock. Notice that the clock does not tell you AM or PM. You'll have to use your detective skills to determine that. Try to look outside to see if the sun is up. Little hand. The little hand on the clock points to the big marks shown in the hours. In this example, it's pointing to the number 1, meaning it's 1 o'clock. The little hand. What hour is shown now? What hour is it showing now? The hour is always based on the last hour marked past until it actually reaches the new mark. Because the little hand has passed the 7 but has not yet reached 8, it is still 7 o'clock. The big hand on the clock points to the small marks, showing the minutes. In this example, it is pointing to the first big mark. Because it is the 5th mark, the first big mark, 5 minutes have passed. What minute is showing now? Count every mark beginning with the first one after 12 until you reach the big hand that it is pointing to. A quick minute trick. There are 60 minutes in an hour. If you divide the 60 minutes by 4, you get 4 quarter hours of 15 minutes each. If you divide the clock into quarter sections, you can see the 15-minute increments. A quarter past means the big hand is pointing at the first quarter mark. A half past means that the big hand is halfway around the clock. The quarter till means that the big hand only has a quarter of the clock left until it reaches the top. When working with decimals, we are based our numbers off of 1.00. A quarter of an hour is written as 0.25. A half hour is written as 0.5. And 3/4 of an hour is written as 0.75. To simply put it, 15 minutes equals 25.25 hours. The 30 minutes is 0.5 hours. 45 minutes is 0.75 hours. And 60 minutes, 1 hour, is 0.1 hours. Okay, what we're going to do right now is convert these as you can see, we're converting these times to decimals. So 3 hours is written as 0.3. 3:15 is written as 3.25, and 3:30 is written as 3.5, and 3:45 is written as 3.75. Now you'll try convert these times into decimals. When wages are calculated, they are figured down to the quarter of hour. If you work from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 3:22 p.m., how long did you work? That is 6 hours and 22 minutes, rounded down to 6 hours and 15 minutes. So it'd be 6.25 because 15 minutes is a quarter of an hour. Why did the 3 hours and 22 minutes round down to 3:15 or to 3.25 hours? To begin with, the easiest way to convert time to decimal is to work with quarter hours. So you'll round all times to the nearest 15 minutes. For the purpose of this class, round the times to the nearest quarter of an hour before you do the math to calculate how many hours were worked. Consider a number line based on 15. Where does the number line divide for rounding? In the middle, at 7.5. If the time is less than the middle number, we round down. If it is the same or more than the middle number, we round up. The same rule works for all 15-minute increments. So you can see at 15 minutes it's at 7.5. After 30 minutes it's 22.5. For 45 minutes we're rounding at 3.75, and then for 60 minutes 52.5 minutes. So back to our 8 hours and 22 minutes. Is 22 closer to 15 or is it closer to 30? Because 22 is closer to 15, we round down to 15. So let's try a few more. 4 hours and 38 minutes would get rounded to 4 hours and 45 minutes. Decimal form is 4.75. The 38 is higher than 37.5, so you'll round up. Let's try a few more. 10 decimal form is 10.00. The 6 is lower than 7.5, so you'll round down to 0. Let's try a few more. Let's go ahead and calculate how many total hours each of these people worked.